G'day everyone, welcome back to Harper's Shed. Thank you for joining me. This pile of parts right in front of me is my 3.5 metre inflatable Zodiac Mark II. And if you've been watching the channel at all, you'll realise there's obviously work to be done. Okay, so just, something different, why not? What we have here is a 3.5 metre inflatable Zodiac Mark II tender, inflatable boat with a 4.5 horse Evinrude. Now, a bit of a backstory before we get into this, and what we're going to get to today is I got the boat itself from my next door neighbour, actually. It was in complete disrepair, the transom was completely gone, didn't hold air, certainly didn't keep the water on the outside. So before I started filming anything, YouTube, I put a whole new transom in it and fixed the air leaks, mostly fixed the water leaks. So that's what we're going to work on today primarily, is keep the water on the outside. The engine I have never ran. I actually got it off my uncle, so thank you. It's a 4.5 horsepower Evinrude. It's got forward, neutral and reverse, which is good. And we'll see. We'll delve into that, have a look, see what's going on, fire it up, and hopefully take it for a run. So I'll unroll it, pump it up, show you a bit with what we're working, and go from there. So there's the basic layout. And something I really like about this is it's got a hard floor, so it's a bit of a bugger to put together, but that floor goes in and then it actually snaps into place, and these side rails, they come in and lock it all together. So that's that's the internal space of the boat, which is pretty good. Now these things are actually rated for 5 people. And I think it's probably just more to do with the fact that it's one giant air pocket, so just the buoyancy of it is enough. And I have had 5 people in it, and it goes alright. So yeah, but that's how it goes. So what we're going to do first is find out where this bloody water leak is. So I'm going to pump it up, and then we'll put some water on the inside and tip it up and see if I can see where it's coming out. That is massively quicker than doing it with the foot pump, trust me. So this is the new transom that I put in. So the old one was timber and it was just completely rotted out. This is actually PVC. So I got a chunk of 20mm PVC and then some 10mm and glued them and laminated them together and made it a nice thick 30mm transom, and it is rock solid. And it just went through and reattached the whole thing. It was a bit of a process, but there's a few videos online of how to do it, and it's good. It's solid. It's all back where it should be. And I don't think it's leaking at the back. Primarily because if it's just me in the boat, you don't get much water in it. And I'm at the back, obviously, steering the motor. If you put a couple of people in it, and you're just sitting stationary, not up on the plane, well, as on the plane as it gets, then water comes in pretty quick. And I can see, you might not be able to, but down in there, there's a little bit more delamination. So I'm tipping it's up around the bow is where the water's coming in. But just to prove that, I'm going to get a hose, put some water in it, and basically stand the thing up and see where it comes out. Well, that wasn't very hard to find the leak. That bit there is like a patch over the nose, and it was half off. So I just did a little bit of excavation work, and that goes all the way into the boat. So there we go. We're gonna get some special glue, and it is special glue. So these are PVC. That's the vinyl, it's the fabric that they're made out of. So you've got to get special PVC glue. So I'll show you that. Show you how to prep the surface properly and repair it. So like I said, I've replaced everything basically. Most of these joints are all brand new. All around the back corners, that's all brand new. Like I said, transom's brand new. I think there might be a little bit of a hole under there too, so I'll put a patch over that. But yeah, get some glue, get it fixed, get on the water. Okay, so that's where we get water in the boat. Now, what I've done, so it wasn't a very big hole. It was probably, you know, a spot about that long sort of thing. But once I started pulling it, a lot more come back. So this seam with this bit of rubber is the main seam for keeping water out. There's another internal section which is reinforcement, but I mean, if this doesn't seal, water's getting through. So what I did was I gave it a good old pull, and that one's going a bit further too. There we go. If it's that easy to pull up, I'm going to fix it. There we go, that's right, that's got it. I'd rather re-glue all that than re-glue a front strip and then the rest start to come loose later. So it might look a bit counterproductive, but trust me, it's not. Now, what I did to clean it up is I've got a bit of Scotch-Brite pad, it's nothing fancy, and a bit of acetone. Now, you have to be careful with acetone on this, in any respect anyway, but especially on a PVC boat, because acetone will eat it. So, it's good for prep, and it's good for getting all the old stuff off, but don't go too crazy, because you'll find it'll soften the PVC, turn it a bit tacky like it is, and that's fine, it'll evaporate and go back to normal. But if you keep running it and keep running it, you'll put a hole in your boat. So when it comes through, you want to prep both surfaces perfectly. Like, you know, it's a bit dirty, and I'll get another bit of Scotch-Brite in a second and clean it up. And it needs to be no gunk left. So I'll do that, I'll bring you back once it's all clean. Alright, so this is what we're working with. That's the product that I'm using, and it is for PVC craft. There are two different types, you'd be careful. So this is type C, this is for PVC. There is another type, don't quote me on the letter, but it's for Hypalon and another different fabric. Inflatable boats like this, they fall into two different categories. This is for PVC, the other one is for Hypalon. And I know this is PVC because I've done it previously and it works. But if you're doing this, look up what you've got, make sure you get the right glue. It's pretty expensive. It was 50 bucks for that tin. There's 250 mils in there. It sort of goes a long way, but you know, sort of doesn't. You need to follow the directions very carefully, because if you don't, it won't work. You mix it. You mix it at a 5% ratio with the hardener, by volume, not weight. 5% hardener to the part A. You apply it in a thin layer, and it is quite important that you don't put a thick layer. If you put a heavy thick layer there, the glue doesn't react properly. You apply a thin layer, both surfaces, after it's all cleaned up. So I've cleaned and prepped my surfaces. They're wiped down with acetone and brake cleaner. All the big chunks are removed. It's good to go. So you apply to both surfaces and let dry completely. It says half an hour, but an hour is best. So you let it completely dry. You then come back, you mix up another lot, and you apply it to both surfaces again. Now, what you do is wait until it tacks off. So it needs to be dry, that when you touch it, your fingers don't tack to it, or you know, back of your hand, make sure it doesn't stick. Then you put the two surfaces together once it's at that point, if it's still tacky, you let it go. Two surfaces together and apply effectively as much pressure as you can. So a nice narrow roller works well. You put them together and you roll them. If you've got two mating surfaces, you want to roll them this way and then come across and roll them this way. Get all the air out of the system and get good compression between the two. I like having the boat nice and hard. That way it gives you much better surface to push against. If the boat's, you know, at 50% inflated, it's soft and you don't get a good push between the two. So I'm going to mix that up. I'm going to mix up probably, to do the area that you've seen, I'm probably going to mix up 15 mil. And then, so yeah, 15 mil and then 5%. So what's that? 1.25 of hardener. And then apply and let dry. Alright, so mixed up, ended up mixing up 20 mil, so we'll see how it goes. Now, sort of lucky because I can see my lines of where the fabric used to be, so it can help to come through and actually mark it if you want to before you do this. That way you know, don't go putting heaps of glue places where it doesn't need to be, but also on the other side of that, make sure you get glue in the appropriate places. A couple other things to note. This stuff is very, very strong on the nose. So, well ventilated, respirator if you feel the need, which really wouldn't hurt, to be honest. It's pretty bad. It's got some pretty good chemicals in it. So, good coat, make sure there's no lumps. And it's also a good idea, so this paintbrush I cut down, so it's a lot stiffer. It helps to just push it into the pores, push it into the surface of the material. But also sort of helps you not put way too much on. So, like I said before, this is the main watertight join, so it's kind of got to be good. I'm just sort of going over it, making sure that there is good everywhere. Now I've got a patch that goes on the front here too that I'll reuse. There's nothing wrong with it, it's not broken, it's not torn. So making sure we'll get some on that as well. So put some on the actual bottom section now. Alright, 2 coats. It's been probably 10 minutes after the second coat, maybe, not even that long. And there, it's dry, just feels a slight amount of tack. So I don't have a roller. What I do is I got an old handle off a file. So you place it and you get one shot. Put it down. Alright. You just go down and you push as much of it down as you can. There we have it. Good solid repair. So nothing's lifting up. It's all stuck on there good. That's the front patch, so obviously come together, and then that was the patch that went over the top. It's all down really good and solid, so that's good. Now you're supposed to leave it for 24 to 48 hours to let it all cure up properly, and then we can go hit the water. So I'm going to flip the boat back over and I'll show you the next project we're going to hit. Alright, so turning our attention to the engine a bit. Now, I originally got a little 3 horsepower, like a full self-contained job, had the fuel tank on top and everything, and it just wasn't big enough. So like I said, I got this engine from my uncle and I swapped my 3 horsepower for this job. He had another little inflatable and the 3 was good for that, nice self-contained. And I just thought I'll have a look at this before I ran it, because I've never ran this engine. And I'm glad I did. So there was a plug here that had bits of electrical tape wrapped around it, so I thought I'll see what's under that. And the wire was burnt in several spots. And I went to fix it and it's just corroded and gone. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to replace this plug altogether. I'll go out and I'll buy, they're called Deutsch plugs. They're really good, waterproof, fantastic. They're not that expensive, so yeah. I'll go out and buy one of them. You can buy them in a 3-pin configuration, which is good. So we'll buy one of them, fit it up, and that'll solve that problem as well, because these plugs don't exactly look nice down inside either. And I don't need this thing stopping while I'm on the water. Alright, so another problem that I'm having, now the electrical's sorted, is the throttle feels really tight. So it does move through its full range, but you've really got to swing off it to do it. I popped the throttle cable loose, and it's not the cable's not bound up in its housing. It moves nice and free. I actually think it's the advanced mechanism under the flywheel. So we're going to pull the flywheel, ring gear, whatever you want to call it, off, and see what's going under there. I reckon it's just gummed up from old grease and time, so we'll have a look. Well, just missed it on camera, but it cracked. Scared the bejeebers out of me. Anyway, let's get you off. Oh, no points. That's a bonus. Let's find out why she's sticky. Where's the key? There's the key still in. Alright. Huh. Oh. Okay. So, we've got contact. So it's been smacking in there. Let's say it probably all started because of that little bit of corrosion there. And then the pickup has got spooge all over it, because that rotates really nice like that. So nothing wrong with that. I think it was actually contacting the yeah, I think we were contacting the flywheel. Let's clean that up, put it back together and see how it goes. Let's see how we go. See if it wants to run. Low speed, choke. So there we go. That's quiet. Jeepers, that's quiet. Likes choke. likes throttle. A bit more primer maybe. Oop, that's a lot of throttle. On to the next project. Now, because this is, you know, not a massive boat, I want to make a storage compartment at the back. So, like I said, the previous engine had the fuel tank up on the part of the engine, so I didn't have to worry about putting a tank or anything back here. This one has an external tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the floor back in. I'll put the floor in, now everything's all glued up, and I'm going to make a storage compartment slash fuel tank that comes in here, comes across, drops down, back up, and sits out, you know, probably that far. Make it all out of alloy. This side will be sort of fuel tank area, and then the rest of it will all be storage compartment, because something else this boat doesn't have a lot of is storage. And when you're trying to fit 5 people in a small boat, plus fishing gear, whatever, yeah, you need as much room as you can get. So that's what we're going to work on now. Alright, after some extensive CAD work, this is the basic idea of what we're going to be. So obviously that'll be covered in there and there. This side, this line here, that'll be fuel tank. Now I worked it out, it'll be about 15 litres. It doesn't look it, but you know, mathematically it should be about 15 litres, which is more than enough. So all this section from this line, all this side, it'll all be storage. And I'm thinking it'll be probably a fold down hatch, because this sort of area under here is a bit wasted. I can't fill this in because obviously that's where the motor bolts to. But if I make a hatch out of this front portion and get it to lay forward, then I can slide heaps of stuff in there, which is good. So I can put like the anchor, ropes, bailing bucket, things like that. Even the foot pump and the air hose will all fit under there, so like for storage, just to make it easy to transport. And that leaves the floor of the boat nice and clean. Nothing worse than having a boat with clutter, let alone a boat that's only 3.5 metres long. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make the fuel tank section by itself, so I'll cut it here and I'll make that as one full sealed unit, and then this will get added onto it, because obviously fuel tank, you don't want it to leak. It's easier to make that as a box and then build the storage compartment on later. So let's go and turn that into aluminium. All made. Heavy custom. Just about to fill it up with water. See how many leaks we get. I'm going with 3. Alright, so there's 2 leaks I can see. One's right on one corner and one's right on the other, so no big deal. But that's the weight. 15.9, 16 kilos, chock-a-block full of water. So we took the water out, fixed the leaks and weighed again. There you go, tank empty, 2 kilos. So that weighs 14, no, it's got a capacity of 14 litres. That should get me a fair way with that little tanker. Alright, well, unfortunately, I didn't get as far as I wanted. You know, only so many hours in the day. So, but this is what we've got. All the bottom's all been re-glued. That's good. I'm really happy with that repair. No issue there. This is pretty much done. Fuel tank side of it's completely done, as you saw. 14 litres of juice. I mean, for a 4.5 horse, I think I can run with that. It should be good. Nearly finished my storage box. A few more welds, and I'll make a top plate, and then it'll be done. But yeah, next time it'll only be a short episode. The next one, and it'll basically be finish this off. We're going to take it for a burn, and I'll see if I can't. Well, see if I can't feed some fish some worms anyway, because I sure as hell can't catch them. So, anyway, subscribe, like, really appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.